Welcome into A Toast of Film. I'm one of your hosts, Ebo, and guys, we got a jam-packed episode for you. So this week, just me, Trey, and Spencer having a wonderful little getaway weekend for Valentine's. Hope y'all had a fun and wonderful Valentine's Day. But today, we will be discussing not one, not two, not three, but four big releases. We'll be discussing Captain America Brave New World. We'll be discussing Love Hurts. We'll be discussing The Gorge. And we also have Mr. Snail's Pick of the Week. That's right. Stay tuned for that one. It was an interesting one this week. So, like I said, it's Valentine's weekend, and I am toasting with a little Stella Rosa Black. I'm not much of a wine drinker, but Stella Rosa Black, I find the sweetness is enough to carry me over where I enjoy it. Great little Valentine's drink, not gonna lie. A little sweet for your sweet. Also, after the review, stay tuned for a special top 5 where I will be putting in order the 5 Phase 5 MCU films based on importance to the overarching MCU story. But we appreciate y'all being here. Let's go ahead and get into this. So, Captain America Brave New World. This is from Julius Ona, who also directed Cloverfield Paradox. We got Anthony Mackie returning as Sam Wilson, a.k.a. Captain America. We also got Danny Ramirez returning as Joaquin Torres, a.k.a. the Falcon. We got Harrison Ford as President Thaddeus Ross. This was William Hurt, but of course, William Hurt has unfortunately passed. We have Giancarlo Esposito as the Sidewinder. And we have a return, if you will. Somebody, Mr. Samuel Stearns. If you know who it is, you know who it is. But he's getting a little reprise. Same actor and everything. So this movie, it was getting some really bad reviews. And I have to come on here and say, is it one of the, top 10 MCU films? No, absolutely not. Is it a bottom 10 MCU film? Absolutely not. I feel this movie is... I wish I could have known what it'd be like before the reshoots, because I don't know if the reshoots helped. I don't know if the reshoots made it worse. And unfortunately, we'll probably never be privy to that information. But this movie, you got Sam. He is working with the president to try and, they're finally the hand that from Eternals, they're finally talking about, and it's animanium, and all the countries are trying to figure out, who's going to get the animanium. We need it. And he's trying to help the president. And then there's espionage. So one thing I have to say, I don't care for Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I think it's a well-made movie, but I don't like espionage films. It's just not my cup of tea. Trey loves it. He thinks it's the best MCU movie, but it's just not for me. And so this, I feel, has some of those flaws where I'm just not too into it. My only real thing is that I think Sam, sorry, words are hard, y'all. I think Sam, aka Anthony Mackie, I think he is absolutely killing it. He is now one of the leads of the MCU. And I think he not only is showing how capable the hands they're in, but I think also it's showing us that he's always been a star, in my opinion. Cut the check. He's just a showman. But to see him in this, where we take him from, the past films where he was the Falcon, and then his TV series, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, he is just embracing this lead role in such a phenomenal way. Here's my issue, because I think he is incredible. Anthony Mackie, every time he's on the screen, it's the Anthony Mackie show. He's incredible. I also think Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, I think he does a good job. Here's my issues. Number one, Harrison Ford is not good in this role. I don't know if it's just because he's too old or the directing or what, but he just was not good to me. But was worse than him is Shira Haas as Ruth Betsara. She's basically the president's like number one Secret Service agent, his like personal guard. And every time she's on screen, I was like, oh, like nothing against the girl. She's probably a phenomenal actress, but in this role, I was like, this is rough. This is not MCU level acting. And it's one of those things when we get in, Giancarlo Esposito's good in his small little scenes. Carl Lumbly reprising as Isaiah Bradley, the original super soldier. I thought he did a good job. Samuel Stearns. This is Tim Blake Nelson from The Incredible Hulk. He is doing okay, but I just didn't care. It's one of those things. This movie has a lot going on because you got like the strife with Isaiah being framed. You got the strife with Sam trying to help everybody. You got the strife with the president. You got the strife with, his assistant. You got the Sidewinder. Like, it's a lot going on. It's very convoluted. I do think there's some good action scenes. And like I said, Carl Lumbly, Danny Ramirez, and especially Anthony Mackie are giving great performances. I definitely think it's worth seeing. I just think you need to go in like, this is a good film. This is not going to be a top 10 MCU film, at least in my eyes. It could be to some people. But Captain America Brave New World, I think, is a good indicator at, if nothing else, how Anthony Mackie is going to lead us in these future roles. And I think it's like a 3.2 out of 5 cheers. It's not terrible, but it's also not going to knock your socks off. All right, so next up, hey, don't worry. We're about to make that movie seem even better because next up is Love Hurts. So this is from Jonathan Eusebio, and he's a big-time stunt coordinator. When I was looking, he did like some of the John Wicks. He did The Fall Guy. A lot of stunts, but this is the first thing I saw he directed. And that makes sense because this movie has barely a plot, not good acting. It doesn't really have a lot going on except for the action and a couple of funny bits. But I was not enjoying this movie at all. And I hate it because, this cast, you got Kihei Kwan as Marvin Gable, and he gets reunited. He had left his previous work where he worked for his brother, Daniel Wu, and he, helped Ariana DeBose's Rose escape. And they get torn back because they want to get free. And you got like a bunch of people coming after him. You got Mustafa Shakir as the Raven, Marshawn Lynch as King, Andre Erickson as Otis, Cam Gidgenet, good Lord, Rennie Merlot. That man is just always to me gonna be, just somebody. He has a thing, and he does it. That's all I'll say. And we got Sean Astin plays a nice little small role. And I think this is one of the Property Brothers. I don't know. I've never seen the show enough to know, but Drew Scott plays Jeff, and his whole thing is he like knows karate. He's a black belt. So that was a nice little thing. But this movie, it's just, you can tell where the effort was put in because the comedy is not great. The story is bad. The dialogue is bad, but a lot of the stunt coordination is good. And that's what, the director, Jonathan, what he is known for. So that makes sense. This movie, I don't think it should have been in theaters. feels like a streaming movie, and maybe then I would have appreciated it more. But for me, it's like a 2 out of 5 cheers. Kihei Kwan is trying, Enter Nabo's trying, and I liked Mustafa Shakir as the Raven. I thought he was pretty interesting, but overall, not worth your time. Love hurts, and so does sitting through this movie. All right, next up, this one was a streaming film that you can all watch. Came out on Valentine's Day. This is The Gorge from my boy Scott Derrickson. I'm looking up right above me. I got my Sinister early showing poster signed by him and Carlisle from Spill, aka C. Robert Cargill. And, he also brought us The Black Phone, Day the Earth Stood Still, Doc Strange, Hellraiser Inferno. Very competent. The Exorcism Emily Rose, very competent director. And we have basically a gorge, and you got 2 snipers, one from a Western country, one from an Eastern country. So you got Miles Teller as Levi. He's this prolific sniper in the army. And you got Anya Taylor-Joy as Drasa. She's on the other side, and she's this prolific sniper, kind of hit woman. And they're hired from Sigourney Weaver's Bartholomew. And basically, here's your thing. You have to stay here for a year. You have this tower. There's a gorge, think of like the deepest valley ever, smoke coming up. And there's things coming out that you have to stop. And so the things, they keep coming out, and they have to shoot them. They have to blow them up. There's booby traps and all kind of stuff. And then, wouldn't you know it, they fall in love. And then, wouldn't you know it, they fall into the gorge. Well, one of them does, and the other one has to go in after them. And I have to say, this movie, my only flaw with it, the CG is not great to me. However, the creature designs are cool. The story is cool. I really liked the twist with the, so-called hollow men. That's what they call these creatures, based on, as they like to bring up a million times, a T.S. Eliot poem. This movie is what Love Hurts should have been. You have a straight-to-streaming movie with very good actors, cool plot, something you can just pop on the TV, watch, have a great time. Scott, he always, even his lower tier films, which I'm not saying this is, I'm just saying, even his lower tier films, I still put above a lot of people. I honestly can't think of a single movie where he's let me down. But I would have to give this a 3.8 out of 5 cheers. It checked the boxes on giving me a great time. The creatures were cool. The story was cool. And of course, Miles Taylor-Joy, what else do you need? Those two crush it. So The Gorge, check it out. That's on Apple Plus only. All right. Before we get into our list, we got to handle, a certain Mr. Snail's pick of the week. I'm going to need a swig for this. So, our pick of the week was 1964's Blood and Black Lace, aka Six Don per l'Assassino. Sorry if that came out rough. Told y'all words are hard. But so this is from Mario Bava, and this is something that my buddies at the Horror Fight podcast turned me on to. You need to check them out. Those 3, you got Pat, you got Mez, you got, oh my God, why am I blanking? Oh no. Corey. Pat, Mez, and Corey. Check them out. Horror Fight podcast. They have a theme, and then they each pick an amount, and then they have to narrow it to a top 5. Really fun podcast. And they turned me on to it's called a giallo. And this is a genre of Italian murder mystery films that often include horror and thriller elements. They're often inspired by pulp novels that were sold in bright yellow paperbacks. So this, we got a lot of different people: Cameron Mitchell, Ava Barta, Aria Gorini, Claude Dantes. There's a lot of people. Massimo Rai. A lot of people going on in here. And basically with this movie, you have these women, they work for like this fashion place, and you have a masked person killing them. And this person, their attire is like gloves, a trench coat, this like think of Rorschach's mask, but just pure like skin tone. It's very creepy. And then a fedora. And this person just popping in, choking the girls. They're just screaming. Ah! It was very effective. For this movie to be made in 1964, the costume is very simple, but very, like spooky. Like if this person just popped out of the darkness, they got this mask where you can't see their face, a fedora, a trench coat, and gloves, like you're going to jump too. And the actresses, when they're getting killed, like it's very realistic. It's almost like, oh gosh, should I be watching this? Because they're like, he's like choking them and they're screaming, and it's something. And some really cool shots set up in the movie. There's a scene in the dark house when this girl's trying to get away. There's a scene where the girls are getting ready for the fashion show and the camera's just panning like this to each like dressing room. This movie is considered one of the best giallos, and I can see why, because the acting is good, the story is good. I like the costume of the killer. It's everything in this movie I can describe as very simple but very effective, which, taking into account this movie came out in 64, very impressive. So Blood and Black Lace, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 cheers. I think this movie has definitely got me interested in checking out more giallos, and also has me interested in what filmmakers can do, because this is something I'd never even heard of from the 60s, and it's this impressive. So really makes me wonder why some people let us down so much. I don't know. Some people just want it more. All right. But before we get into the top 5, we got to get Mr. Snail's pick of the week. Still trying to find Mr. Snail. I don't know where Buggins took him. Hopefully we find him one day. Hopefully. But this week's picks, we have Tourist Trap, The Royal Hotel, Thelma, Double Feature, Invaders from Proxima B, Ernest and Celestine 2, A Trip to Gibraltar, Don't Move, Ebo's Choice, Fire and Ice, Ebo's Double Feature, Back in Action, Babes, Kneecap, Murder Party, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Nothing But Trouble, Chompy and the Girls, The Unexpected Race, Electric Dreams, and The Incredible Bulk. All right, got the die. Here we go. That is a 5. 5 Invaders from Proxima B. All right, so this movie, I don't know anything about it except the alien, the invader, is a puppet, like a Jim Henson looking Muppet. It's available on Tubi for free, so please follow along. Watch Invaders from Proxima B. Check back with us in 2 weeks. We'll let you know. But before we get out of here, I got a top 5. And this week's top 5 was the top 5 for Phase 5. So the Thunderbolts will officially end Phase 5. That'll be our 6th film. But I feel we have 5 films so far. 5 films, of different levels. And so I want to come on here and tell you what I think these should be ranked based on importance to the overall MCU. So at number 5, Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. The Quantumverse, is it even a point now? Does it even matter? Also, Jonathan Majors, reportedly fired from the MCU. So Kang no longer matters. So does anything from this actually matter? Are we going to get Catherine Newton ever in a movie again? Are we going to see the Ant-Man the Wasp again? Kang gone. Is Jonathan Majors going to be back? Are we going to get recast? As of right now, this movie is pointless to the MCU. So it had to rank at number 5. Number 4, and this one hurts because remember, this is not based on what I think is the best movie. This is based on what I think is the most important towards the MCU overall story. So number 4, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was a very important film because it was James Gunn's love letter, his send-off to the MCU when, since he's going to DC. However, these movies have always been standalone, so the impact isn't really there. Will we get any of the Guardians again? I know the movie ends saying Star-Lord will return, but I mean, you got Drax, you got Mantis, you got Rocket, you got Gamora, you got Nebula. You got a lot going on. So it just makes me wonder what, impact this will have. Because as of now, probably the best movie on this list, but the least impactful to the MCU. Number 3, this also hurts to have low, but we got Deadpool and Wolverine. So in a word, crossovers. This is important. This is ranked ahead of the other two because, Deadpool's introduced to MCU. Wolverine's introduced to the MCU. We get our Fox crossover with the TVA. So we got, some impact there. And it's important because it blended the MCU with Fox. You got all the cameos. The door's open on all these past Fox properties. So I feel that was important. But we're getting to the top 2. So at number 2, we have the Marvels. Captain Marvel, like her or love her, she is a captain. Words are hard. I'm going to say that a million times this episode. She is a pillar of the MCU. And, we have Kamala. She is the future of the MCU. We need audiences to care about them because they are what's leading. And that brings me into my number 1, Captain America Brave New World. We needed to see Anthony Mackie lead the charge. And I think he killed it. I think he has shown us, hey, y'all are in good hands. Because think about it. Steve's gone. Tony's gone. Natasha's gone. Who knows about Thor? Who knows about Hawkeye? Who knows about any of these movies? They're also disconjointed from when we were in the Infinity Saga and they felt like they were working towards a goal. Now these movies are just being made. So we need this movie to be an indicator of things to come. And I think there's enough in there where it's going to be in good hands. Like I said, Anthony Mackie, top notch. Cut the check. But guys, we hope you appreciated this episode. Let us know what you think. We got a bunch of reviews. We got the ranking. Let us know what you think of all that. And also stay tuned. So Trey and I this weekend are going to Days of the Dead Atlanta. And we'll definitely do a pod on that. We're planning to meet the whole Terrifier cast and Damien Leone himself, Art himself, David Howard Thornton. Very excited about that. We're also going to be going to a screening of David Howard Thornton's Mickey Mouse killer movie, Screamboat. So stay tuned for all that. Should be a fun episode. We'll try if we can to see The Monkey because that comes out this week. But if not, we'll make up for it. But if you want to let us know what you think about any of these movies, you can do it in so many ways. But let me tell you the best ways. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok, A Toast of Film, all one word. Or check us out on beautiful YouTube, where you can see, my cool little Raw is War hat. Or check me out on Twitter @film_toast. And from Trey and myself, we just wish you a good night and good viewing.